Welcome to the Empowered Career Woman podcast, where we are about growing, learning, and sharing positive experiences about our careers, life, business, and about family. My name is Kathy Tellez, wife, mom, career woman, and entrepreneur. And I am so passionate about helping to build the next level of female entrepreneurs and female leaders. And I'm so excited that today I get to interview one of my very good friends and somebody who I've known since high school. And let me tell you, today's story, her story is going to move you, it's going to inspire you. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my very good friend, Angela Gray. Angie, how you doing?
I'm awesome. Hi, Kathy. How are you doing? It's so awesome
I'm
to see you.
Oh my gosh. First and foremost, thank you so much for doing this podcast with me
Course.
because, when I started this, I said I really wanted to impact the next level, the next future generation of women. And you were one of the first people that came to my mind because you
Aw.
have done so many amazing things. And I know that you are touching lives as we speak.
Aw.
So will you please share a little bit of your story, who you are from Miss America to principal, writer, author, all of
Oh
this,
my goodness.
mom, wife. So go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, for those of you who don't know, I've known Kathy since we were in high school. We're Moanalua Menihuni.
Yeah,
Um,
go Minis.
Go Manny's. When I look at you, you're still the same cheerleader that I remember. I was the basketball player, ran cross country, and you were always there cheering us on and off the court. I just still remember you guys running around doing your laps, and you were like the most energetic person I've ever met. And I thought that was me because I'm usually the loudest and most energetic. But people are like, you should be a cheerleader, Angie. And I go, yeah, absolutely. And some people would say, well, cheerleading is not a sport. I said, have you seen those girls work out? Have you seen
Yes.
them run and lift weights and the push-ups and the sit-ups and the gymnastics and the acrobatics that you do? I said, come on, they are more athletes than you ever were or ever will
I
be.
know it. I remember back then we had those little stickers that cheering is a sport because
Absolutely.
man, the rigor that we were put through back
Oh,
then.
absolutely. So I have the utmost respect for you, and I love that we go way back to high school because, it takes me back seeing you. You've been like again, a supporter on and off the court. Whenever I'd see you, I was just like, wow, very awesome to be in your presence again and like just kind of reunite with the Mennies. So since high school, I'm one of 10 kids born and raised on the island of Oahu in Honolulu. And married my high school sweetheart, my husband T. We've been together for 23 years. We have five beautiful children. And in the time that I graduated, I became Miss Hawaii. I became Miss America. I traveled the world, traveled mostly in America during my year, over 40 states in 1 year, 20,000 miles a month, in a different city every 18 to 36 hours with a national speaking tour of character in the classroom, teaching values, valuing teachers. With the money that I earned, over $100,000 in scholarships from Miss America organization, which was the largest scholarship provider for young women in the world. I was able to pay off my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and my teaching credential. So graduated from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, with an elementary ed degree and a master's in educational administration. So I've been a principal now, Catholic school principal here in Southern California for what is this? My ninth year as a principal, 10th year here at the school, but in Catholic education for over 15 years. So really excited because being born and raised on Oahu and being one of 10 kids going to Catholic school, I used to be an athletic director and PE teacher at Holy Family when I won Miss Hawaii.
Oh,
Um,
wow, I
but
didn't know that.
yeah, I was a current PE teacher. It was my first year teaching, and the girls dared me and ended up going all the way to Miss Hawaii after my third try running. And then going on to just represent my state, represent the country, which was amazing. Now, you would appreciate the story because we didn't win states at basketball. We went to states four years in a row that I was freshman with Coach Dana, right?
Yes.
9, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, went to states four times, got to the top, got to the semifinals, got gypped 1 year, which everybody, even the athletic directors, when I spoke there at the Waikoloa a couple years ago, all admitted to.
Oh, they
But
did. I
they
know.
did. That's a whole other story. But hey, vengeance was paid, vindication had happened. No,
Yes.
no vengeance. But I feel like that day was like yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
It was a life-changing moment for me, not winning the championship and knowing that we lost it because of a bad call. In any case, um, when I won Miss Hawaii, I won my state championship. And so that was very, very sweet. It was a sweet victory and a great way to represent our state. So anyway, you would appreciate that probably more than other people.
Well, I think that's a thing that I love so much about your stories. The fact that one Catholic girl from Hawaii, um, and the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't realize, yeah, Hawaii is there is a sense of ohana
Mhm,
family
mhm,
that people who have never been around it, they don't really understand it. But
mhm.
then, even though you and I haven't seen each other for years,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
still the same
Yeah,
ohana, that same feeling of like connection. And
exactly.
I absolutely love that. And when you say like you go back and then all of these people know your story even from back then, it makes me so happy. It
It was
really
so
makes me
awesome.
so happy. you know um and for cheer too, when I cheered and we went through states and then we went to nationals and all of that, people still remember me from back in those days. And I'm like,
For
oh my
sure.
gosh, wow. And the impact that you and I are making, it's incredible. I feel so blessed and thankful that we get
Mhm,
the
mhm.
opportunity to have this voice,
For
to be
sure.
able to help the next generation of future female leaders. Um,
Mhm.
so wow, going back through all of that, winning Miss Hawaii, winning Miss America, the first Filipino American and
Yeah,
Asian American
yeah.
back in those days, right? I mean, that is such a feat already that you had to overcome. Like, how did you, looking back at those moments, like, what were those things that shaped you the most?
You know, it's funny when I was competing, I don't know if you remember Trisha. Remember Trisha Fujikawa?
Oh, yeah.
And so she was like my BFF. We were roommates in college. We actually dormed together at UH
I
our
didn't know
freshman year.
that.
So I went to
Okay.
go support her when she was running for Miss Ala Moana and she was running in all these pageants. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna win. And they were priming her to be the first Asian Miss America. And I was like, you could totally do it, girl. Let's go. And
That's
then I
awesome.
was like, I need to start making some money. I need to pay for my tuition. I moved out of my house. Um, being one of 10 kids, I was the first to stay home from going away to college. Everyone went to Notre Dame, LMU, Dominican, Seattle University, Gonzaga, and then it was my turn. And everyone's like, my mom's like, you got to figure this out because that's a lot of kids in college.
Yeah.
Either you're going to pay for it or figure it out. And I said, fine, I'll go home, stay home, and I'll go to community college. And she's like, no, go to the university. So I said, that's fine. I mean, to me, I was not about to get a debt that I wasn't able to pay for. So
Yeah.
when I moved out of my house at 18, moved in with my sisters, you're adulting, you're 18, and it's like, what am I going to do? I started pageants and being a part of the largest scholarship provider for women in the world without having to even pay for an entrance fee at the time was a great way to
Wow.
do it. And that's what Trisha was doing at the time. So I would support her in her pageants and we were like running together. We actually ran together at Miss Hawaii in 1996. My first time was in 95, then 96, won Miss Hawaii 2000. But again, they were kind of prepping her along with whoever they thought was going to be the first Asian because it was never a thing. And I
Yeah.
remember running my third year at Miss Hawaii. Somebody interviewed me from the Philippine Chronicles and they were like, there's never been a Filipina Miss America.
Oh, I got
What makes
goosebumps.
you think you're going to win? And I said, there's always room for a first, and there's always room for a first. And I said, why not me? You know?
Exactly.
I was like, what are you trying to say? They're like, well, what makes you think you're going to win? And I said, why not? Why not?
Yes.
Never happened before. And I said, exactly. So it's time. And so
Yeah.
to be able to win, it started in 1921 as a bathing beauty contest. And then it became a scholarship program and they added the talent. And then in 1950, that's when Miss USA started because it was actually Miss America 1950, Yolande Betbys had refused to wear a swimsuit in public and she was an opera singer. And when she won, she says, I don't need to wear a swimsuit again because Catalina Swimsuits was one of the biggest sponsors. And so when she decided to say, I'm not wearing this anymore, they said, we're going to start our own beauty pageant solely on beauty. And that's when they spun off and started Miss USA. So our program is over, what is 104 years old this year.
my
So in
gosh.
the entire time in over a century, not too many things last for 100 years. You know,
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse, there's Miss America, right?
right. It's true.
And so to be the only Filipino American to win, and probably we only have had three Asian Miss Americas. So it was me and it was Nina Davaluri in 2020, what was it, 2014, I believe. And then recently there was Emma Broyles from Alaska. So
Gotcha.
really awesome to be a part of a small sorority of the former Miss Americas and of course the ones who are Asian American.
Yeah.
Um, and then recently, like last February, I was at the Smithsonian. They asked for my dress. And so we had a big celebration at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., and it was huge to be able to say, I have my dress in the Smithsonian. It's awesome.
It is so amazing. And it's funny because I think I shared with you one of my friends, her daughter is going through now like some of the pageantry things and I shared with her that you're one of my friends and she's like, oh my gosh, I need her autograph. I mean, you inspire these young
Oh,
individuals who want
oh.
to, I mean, and she's battling through her own some medical issues, and I think that's even more of her fight of
Hmm, hmm.
wanting to be out there and to be a voice for. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't even remember which things that she's battling right now, but she is voicing that out at such a young age. I mean, I think she's 12 or 13, which is
Wow.
pretty phenomenal to be able
Yeah.
to say, you know what, I want to be able to share my story. I
Hmm,
want to say
hmm.
it's diabetes, but don't quote me on it.
Right, right,
But
right.
she's had to battle, that
Mhm,
and the struggles as a young, girl,
mhm.
having to take medication and all of this, and that's like a platform for her to be able
Yeah.
to do that. And I just love that so much for you. And I mean, you currently, I mean, obviously, with your background, you have juggled so much. And a lot of the people who listen to my podcast are up and coming, leaders in business, whether they're, some of them are stay-at-home moms who
Mhm,
want to build a career, even if it's a side hustle or just helping to support their family in whatever ways possible. And
mhm.
um, you having to juggle everything from being a career woman, wife, and mom. How did you do it? And having five beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful, and smart young kids. I mean, all bless you.
Yeah.
Tell us the secret. Tell us
Oh,
what you and Teeny, what have you guys done? Tell us. Oh my goodness.
man. By the grace of God, all these things happen by the grace of God. I mean, every day I ask myself, how are we still going strong as a couple? We met when we were in high school. We went to the winter ball together at
I
Moore.
know. I have your picture.
I know. We were 15 when we met. We were 18 when we started dating. And we've been together for 20, we've been married for 23 years, but we've known each other since we were 15. So it's a huge accomplishment to be with somebody. I think loyalty is very important in anything. So if you can have a marriage that's very strong, I think it says a lot about you,
Yeah.
the stick-to-itiveness, so to
Yeah.
speak, the fortitude of being able to say, you know what, for the ups and downs, good and bad, we're going to stick it out. We're going to be together. So that's definitely one thing. Having a great partner that you can trust, that you have faith in, having faith in God. It's the triangle, right? It's us and it's God. So to me, that's really the foundation. I go back to it all the time because we're just human. And when we put our faith in humans, we fail. And we put our faith in God, we have a structure and a foundation that it's foolproof. So that's definitely the secret, having a great partner and having somebody who believes in the same faith as you. And I think putting God first, everything else to follow. I tell my kids, God, family, everything else. That's it
100%.
for us.
Yep.
When you talk about struggles, and I've had 5 kids, I've had 2 miscarriages. Um, and Teeny's been with me through thick and thin, always that support. He has a quiet strength, but he steps up when he needs to, and he loves me like no other. There's a sacrificial love that comes with marriage that it's no longer just about yourself, it's about each other and it's caring for the other person. And so to have a husband and a partner like that, I don't
Yeah.
think I would have been able to have so many kids if I knew that I couldn't trust him, that he wouldn't be waking up in the middle of the night to change diapers and feed the babies. And when I'm sick, when I'm down, when my brother died, we talk about struggles. My brother died in 2006 by suicide. I mean, I was pregnant with number two, and Micah was just a little baby. And I also went through my own anxiety and depression because I was just coming off fresh from Miss America, and I was Miss America during 9/11. So these are things that I don't take lightly, that I have a great partner in life. He got me through those moments. And then, of course, I had the diagnosis of cancer. And so back in 2018, going through breast cancer and chemo and surgeries and mastectomies, it was like one thing after another. And in every phase, he never fails to tell me that you're beautiful in every phase. He knew me, and he literally says, "I've known you inside and out," because he saw me through all my C-sections. I had five
Oh,
C-sections, and
oh,
he says, "I've seen everything. I mean, and I love you inside and out." To have that kind of unconditional love, it's priceless.
yeah,
And with God, we can do anything, and with love, all things are possible.
I love it. I love it. I look at my husband, my goodness, this year will be 27 years of
Amazing.
marriage, 29 years together. I'm like, dude, like
Mhm.
what? And but it is so true. Everything through heartbreak, through loss, through pain, he has been there
Awesome.
in support
Yeah.
of me. He took a step back in his career so that I could rise in mine.
Mhm.
And I feel so humbled because of it. And I know a lot of my listeners, they may not have a partner, or you're yearning for that type of partnership. And
Mhm.
some people struggle even with their own partners and whatnot. Uh,
Mhm.
but just knowing that it is out there.
Mhm.
And if you do have faith and you put that, your faith in your family, first above everything else,
Mhm.
you'll overcome things. And so
Exactly.
I just love that. Yeah. So, I don't ever want to bring up like some negativity, but my gosh, your brother, I remember your brother too. And when I found out about him passing away the way that he did, that hurt me so hard. I mean, it's like, when even though it's almost like we knew each other through even grade school, because I went to St. John the Baptist. Didn't you
Oh
go to
yeah.
right? Yeah, you
I
went to
went to
see that.
Holy Family.
Yeah,
I
you
went
and
to Holy
Holy
Family.
Family. That's right. And so I think I even remember your brother. I think we played basketball against each other. That's
Wow.
how, like, yeah, we knew each other in high school, but we knew each other from back in the day, like elementary school days. Yeah.
Gosh.
And so anyways, when I heard about your brother and I hearing that, I was so saddened by it. And this is the part that is so inspiring. Like you turned that pain into purpose. Talk about, that, how you overcame that. And I know you had your family support and whatnot, but I know you wrote a book. I mean, you had a
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
thing that you did to
Yeah.
reshift your focus.
I told you that when I was pregnant in 2006 with Micah,
Yeah.
Albert, my younger brother, who's 2 years younger than me, he played basketball. We were on a TV show together. We were co-hosts. He was the life of the party. So happy.
Yeah.
So for him to know that he was depressed, that was really shocking to me. It was a shocker to everybody that he was going through something. And we thought it was just girl problems. I was pregnant with Micah in 2006, and he was supposed to be the godfather. I had just moved from Hawaii here to California, and he was in Newport Beach. We moved to Anaheim,
Yeah.
near Disneyland, and he was in like close to my sister in Irvine. So I was so excited to have at least three of us here in California.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait for my life to begin and for him to be the godfather. And we were going to see each other more often, just very filled with hope and expectation, anticipation. Meanwhile, I was going through my own kind of depression, but I didn't tell anybody about it because it was kind of postpartum, or no, not even postpartum. It was PTSD from 9/11, and I
Sure.
had my 15-month-old baby already, but I was just going through something and I wasn't ever able to kick it. Then I got pregnant again as I was trying to kick off a career in television here in California. I
Mm.
had my TV agent saying, "Don't worry, people do it all the time. Pop out your babies, get a nanny, and just do whatever you need to do." And I thought, that doesn't sound like me. I don't feel like I just want to have babies, just to have someone take care of them and then put myself first.
Yeah.
Because being a mother is sacrificial. And even though I felt like I can do it all and I've done a lot, at what point do I say, you know what, my time is not up, but I've had my time and I need to focus on this new chapter, and that's having children and being a wife and a mother. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I said, I'm going to do something more stable where I'm here and I'm not traveling all the time and I'm not leaving my husband alone. I'm not leaving my kids with a nanny.
Yeah.
didn't want that. And
Yeah.
I made that very clear to my husband. I said, I think I'll put the TV dreams on hold. That's not really what I want to do at this point. In any case, my brother, he was there with me the whole time in California. And then, of course, he dies that year. I move here in March. We
Gosh.
hang out in June. By November, he's gone. And that really woke me up because I was going through that whole kind of depression. And I was like, I saw what it did to my family.
Yeah.
I was very angry at him because I'd just given birth. My baby was two weeks old, and I had to get on a plane, and I was so mad at him. And I told my siblings, I'm not coming. I'm so mad. He's so selfish, and just a lot of anger. And for
Yeah.
many years, like I cried 3 months straight. And I was so angry that I had to learn. I think most of it was because they kept it a secret from me that he had attempted once before, and his second time, I hate to say, but he succeeded in his taking his life. And so the fact that I felt like I was in the dark and everybody knew about it except me because they were protecting me since I was pregnant,
Mm,
I had a lot of animosity towards them and anger.
yeah.
Took me a while to forgive him, to forgive myself, and I'm in a much better place today.
Sure.
My son Micah is the marker. He's 18 years old, so 18 years ago he died.
Oh,
And
gosh.
every year he has a birthday, I always remember it and I think about him all the time. But I do have such a strong faith and I believe in the mercy of God. And I believe that he has salvation. He was an altar boy, he believed in God, he received the Eucharist, I believe. And it really made me understand, like, do I believe in what I say I believe? My
Yeah.
parents, watching them go to the Divine Mercy prayer and just praying it and believing it and still being able to smile. I said, if my parents can lose a son
Yeah.
and still find happiness, I think I'm going to be okay. I think I can work it out. So watching them, they were very inspiring to me. I
Wow.
ended up writing a book about it, a memoir that I had been shelving my autobiography and this faith-based inspirational memoir. I started it back in 2000, maybe 5 or 6. And so Albert was alive and he was like, can't wait to read your book, sis. And I just stopped it. When he died, I just left it alone. But I did start it. And it wasn't until 2014 that somebody said, hey, we want to hire you for this big speech, 8,000 people in Indianapolis. It's going to be in a huge dome and you're going to be the keynote speaker and sell your book. I said, I don't have a book. And they're like, you don't have a book? Why don't you have a book? You should write a book. And I said, well, started, I never finished. And they're like, well, it's next year. Why don't you finish it? And I'm like, it's not that simple. So I embarked on a 1 year
Writing journey.
writing journey to become a publisher and self-publish my book. And now it's on Amazon. It's called Amazing Win, Amazing Loss, Miss America Living Happily Even After. So it talks about my loss with my brother and it talks about my win as Miss America and everything in between and after. But I think I need a sequel because I only had 4 kids when I wrote the book. So
Yeah, for sure. I think you're manifesting it, sister.
perhaps we'll have to find some time. It took a lot of effort, blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh,
Uh,
I bet.
Yeah, the book is like 274 pages, but it was a 400-page unabridged book that a lot was on the cutting floor and very cathartic, a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of healing went into that. And just, I really encourage people to sit down, even for posterity, if you get a chance, sit and write your book. I
Yeah.
use, I think I bought the app Scrivener, and it was just so amazing because it's like having a post-it on your computer and just moving things around. And it was just the creative process
Yeah.
and the healing process. I really, really needed it to process a lot of things that I had been through that I never really gave the time because I buried it so far into my subconscious. Those things had to come up. And again, it was very healing. So I recommend that process to everybody.
Yeah. Gosh, girl. I mean, when I hear this, and then we haven't even touched upon the fact that you battle cancer
Mm,
and have overcome that.
hmm
Like, truly, there are so many women out there who struggle, whether it be depression, whether it's sickness or, health, whatever that is. How do you do this? Like, seriously, I know you're talking about faith and you have your whole community, but my gosh, like the fortitude that you have as a woman, oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, superwoman, I feel
No,
like.
no.
How
No,
do you do it? How do you get through it? Because I have talked to so many different people who have gone through loss and who've been through so much pain and they cannot see the other side.
Mhm.
Can't see that other side.
Philippians 4:13 is my favorite quote. It's my favorite Bible verse. Without him, I'm nothing, but with him, I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
Mm,
And if you realize that we're nothing, we're really nothing, and you humble yourself, and you say, but hey, I can be a superhero with God within me. And as a Catholic, we believe that Jesus is in the real presence in the Eucharist. So going to adoration, going to receive him in the Eucharist, you really feel like, okay, this is a supernatural power. They say that the biggest reason for burnout in Catholic education is that we try to do natural things with natural powers, right? But
Yeah.
really, the biggest burnout is because we're not using our supernatural power. So trying to do supernatural things on our natural resources, that's the biggest reason of burnout. And I
Yeah.
think when you hear that and you realize like, who is your strength? Where does it come from? Where do you draw it from? People no longer see you. They see
Yeah.
him. And so if we really are in communion and union with Christ, who for me it's Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and if you really believe that he's our savior and that he sacrificed and died for us, there's no greater love than someone who will lay down his life for a friend. And when you know that that kind of love exists for someone like you, like me, and he would have done it for me if I were the only person in the world, that's a great love.
Yeah.
That's a divine unconditional love that is irreplaceable and that you don't want to let go of that. So when people say, well, where do you get that from? The depression and anxiety, all that is from the devil, all that is evil.
Yeah.
Any fear, any doubt, all the lies that I have listened to in the past, no
Mm.
longer, they have no power over me anymore. They don't,
Yeah.
because I give it up. I give it up to God and I know that I'm protected.
Yeah.
Uh, in our faith, it's Catholic faith is a beautiful faith. I just got back from Italy, amazing pilgrimage. I got to walk through four holy doors. I went
Oh my gosh.
Basilica and celebrate a mass at the Clementine Chapel where
Oh,
Saint
got
Peter,
goosebumps.
his tomb, Saint Peter's bones are buried in that church, in
Wow.
that little chapel in Saint Peter's Basilica. Went to Saint John Lateran, Saint Mary Major, Saint Paul outside the walls, got to go to confession in Florence. Where I was in Florence, I was in Rome, Pisa, Orvieto, Assisi, Siena, San Gimignano. Just it was the trip of a lifetime. You know, my husband and I, we talked about going to Europe when we first got married, and we just didn't because it was babies and it was buying houses and it was life. And it's like then next thing you know, we're turning the century, right? Half a century, and we're like, where is time going? And
Right.
what are we doing with ourselves? So I think it's important. Like when he got sick last year, he got really sick, and I had prayed to Saint Joseph because Saint Joseph is the patron of fathers and the patron of the universal church. We were there celebrating Mass at St. Peter's on the feast of Saint Joseph,
Oh my
my
gosh.
oldest son and my husband. And it was such a gift. It's such a profound experience that I can't even put into words. I felt like we were at the center of the universe, at the center of our faith. And it was just so profound, literally life-changing. And my husband walks upstairs and he tells the priest after, he said, being Miss America was pretty cool for you, honey, but this was way better. Enjoyed it so much. He felt on such a deep level that
Yes.
beyond anything that we've ever experienced as a couple, and it just took it to the next level. So when you ask me, where does it come from? It's not from me. I think we need to become small. We need to be small so that God can be big in us.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to reflect to the world. Because I think when we think that we're it, we're the end all be all, we're the answer, that's where we get depressed because we don't have any power in and of ourselves. We
That's
don't.
true.
We're weak. We're nothing. And that's why on Ash Wednesday, from dust you came, to dust you'll return. That's who we are. But with him, we are infused with this divine power because he's within us. And then we
Yeah.
can do anything in his name, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So good. I mean, I have a short amount of time left with you, but I do want to, I want to continue the conversation if you would, because I think you have so many nuggets that you could share with the listeners. Can we talk about, one question before we shut this week's down, is the balancing of motherhood, career, and personal growth. Like as I was saying to you earlier, a lot of my listeners, they're constantly juggling, like struggling with trying to have it all.
Hmm.
How have you navigated through like the balance? Because I
Yeah.
think that is the key thing, right? Balance
Hmm.
between being a dedicated mom and then also being a career woman as well.
That's a great question. And I think it's something I'm constantly trying to figure out at every stage of my life.
Sure.
Mm, I was told when I won Miss America, I was 24 years old, that I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. You can't do it all. You can't. And that's all I heard. Tell me I can't do something and it's done, right?
Exactly.
So I was saying, okay, well, in 2 years, I want to get my master's degree. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to start my own foundation. I want to meet the president. I said all these things. I want to start my own business. I want to travel the world. And I remember my lawyer at the time who was trying to help me kind of like map out the next 10 years of my life. He's like, you can't do it all, Angie. You just can't. And I said to him, watch me. And I said, here you go. I can do it all. It's just not all at once. I need a timeline for it. So give me 10 years. I will do it. I
Yes.
don't have to do it all at once. So you have to have a timeline and you can do it all. At the same time, you have to give yourself grace. You can't just say,
Yes.
people say, you're superwoman, you're superwoman. I used to love when people say, oh, you could do it all, you're superwoman. Now I'm like, why? I have nothing to prove. I don't need to be superwoman. If you see me that way, that's fine. That's up to you. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be the best version of myself. And if it doesn't meet your criteria, oh well. And if it does, thank you. But I'm not going to change. I'm not going to cripple to it. I'm not going to see how many likes I get on social media. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is my relationship with God, my relationship with the people who love me, my kids, my husband, my friends that I can count on one hand, right?
Yep.
So when you think about that, people try to please so many people. They're looking for that approval. You really don't need it from everybody. You
Yep.
just need it from the people who matter,
That's
right?
right.
And you can do
100%.
it all in a timeline. It doesn't have to be now.
Mm,
Not, don't say no, just say not yet, not now. And you know what? Sometimes God closes a door and he makes it so obvious that it's not the right way. He may be protecting you from something. So
yeah.
even though you want it, is your will aligned with his will? That's what I've learned, especially having kids. One kid gets the scholarship and the other one doesn't. One wants to go to this college, the other one doesn't, but it all works out for the best, for their greatest good. And maybe we didn't see it when we were in the storm, but when
Mhm.
the sun comes out and it's clear, it's like, got it.
Yeah.
That's why you protected me from that. My son wanted to go to Pepperdine, my second one, but he got into USC and he's like, oh my gosh, my first choice. He was crying, like, how come I gonna get into Pepperdine? And then my other son goes to the Pepperdine Villa in
Yeah.
Florence and he's gone for a year. So both of them who could have been at Pepperdine were not there during the Malibu fires.
I know.
And
Like, wow.
in hindsight and in retrospect, you're like, I see what you did there, God. I see how you
Exactly.
had your hand on my kids. I see what you did, and I didn't know it before.
Yep.
Now it's clear. The sun
Yep.
is out. It's clear.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we have to also remember, you talk about balancing everything. What are your priorities? God, family, everything else. I keep going back to that
Yeah.
because we're so used to, oh, I got to get this car, or I got to get this purse, or I got to get this outfit, or I got to look good in front of my friends, or I'm trying to please them, and you're keeping up with the Joneses. It's tiring.
Oh gosh.
And
Yeah.
at some point, you're just like, who am I trying to please?
Yeah.
And where am I going? And what is my ultimate goal? So if you don't know where you're going, if you have to start with the end in mind, then that is really what guides what you do. If
Yeah.
you come to my school, you're going to see a big sign out front, and it says, we are heaven and college bound.
Oh gosh. I love it.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Everything we do, yeah, we're a K-8 school, but we're trying to lead our kids to heaven first and foremost. We're trying to help them become saints.
Yeah.
Do it by starting with ourselves first as role models, right?
Yeah.
In words are actions, and then by teaching and helping them along to become saints, to become citizens of heaven, which was ultimately where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
And in the process, we're preparing them for their college and the career. But the next step is high school. Why did I not put high school? Because high school is a given. If we're preparing you for college, you're going to be in high school,
Yeah. Yep.
right? And so we're always starting with the end in mind and working backwards. And that's why we're heaven and college bound. And so that kind of encapsulates everything that we do at our school. And learn it, live it, love it, right?
Yeah.
Starts at the top. Leadership starts at the top, and you have to model it. You can't just have lip service and say, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Kids look at you and they know if you're authentic or not. And so you got to walk the walk and you got to talk the talk. It has to be simultaneously and aligned.
So good. Oh my gosh, you guys. Listen, we have to continue this conversation. For those of you guys, like and subscribe because Angie is so good. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about her story. But for all of you guys, thank you so much for joining the Empowered Career Woman podcast this week. And we will see you guys soon.
Aloha.